It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker, Dr. Sunil Kumar, sir. Currently, he is working as assistant professor in the PG Design section of Mechanical Engineering Department at Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli. Sir has completed BE Mechanical from Shivaji University in 2006, MTech in Design Engineering from IIT Delhi in 2010. He has completed Ph.D. from IIT Roorki within 3 years from 2018 to 21 in the field of blast-induced traumatic brain injury. He worked as a graduate engineering trainee in the manufacturing division of Mahindra and Mahindra Limited, Mumbai from 2006 to 7. He has more than 3 years of teaching experience, and also he has served in the industry around 7 years. Companies like Daimler in India Commercial Vehicles, Chennai, Eaton Technology Private Limited, Pune, as a senior engineer, assistant manager, and manager post. He has more than 7 research publications in different national, international conferences and journals. His research area includes solid mechanics, finite element methods, biomimicry, and machine learning, etc. He has various honors and awards as Best Poster Presentation in 2019 at IIT Roorki, Simulation Technology Pioneer Award in 2011 and 15 at Eaton Technology Private Limited, Pune, Design for Six Sigma Green Belt 2013 at Eaton University. Okay. With this introduction, I welcome you, sir, to our FDP, and I request you to start your session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Biradar, sir, and thank you, Patil, sir, for a nice introduction and giving me an opportunity to share my learnings with research publication. So I will share my screen. Let me know if my screen is visible and am I audible.
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Okay, fine. So the topic of my first session is how to read and compile the essence of an research article. My research journey started close to five years back when I started doing research at IIT Roorki for my PhD. And as I said, I completed my PhD within 3 years by publishing 7 articles. And I find the strategy to do this publication within short period of time because of a strategies that I deployed during my research. And this particular presentation that I am sharing is the crux of my learnings during my research. So to start with, let's start first by understanding what is the structure of an journal article. Many of you might have read journal articles, and you will realize that this is a typical article structure. The article will have a title, it will have abstract, followed by keywords, abbreviations, introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusions, acknowledgements, conflict of interests, references, supplementary materials. So a journal article is constituted of these many elements. Some journals may have some additional elements, or some elements from the list may not be there. Like Some journals nowadays ask for graphical abstract, or they ask for highlights, or some journals ask for author's contribution as a separate element. So I'm not going into details of that, but I want everyone to know that this is a typical structure of a journal article. Now, if I know a structure of an article, how to read this article is the key. Because every article will have these elements, and I should get the understanding, I should get the knowledge out of that particular article. That is the prime importance of reading that article. So to start any reading, we must have some purpose why we are reading that particular article. So these are typical questions every reader should have when he starts, or when he or she starts reading an article. First is the objective. What is the aim of that particular research in that article? That should be the first question. Second question should be the method. If I have a problem, if I want to solve a problem, what method of a research has been deployed by the researcher? That should be the another question. If this problem has been solved by some method, what are its results? What are the findings of that result? That should be the next question. That is results. And finally, if I found something new, then what are its implications? What are the consequences of such findings to that particular research field? That should be the next question that I should have in my mind, and that will be dictated by the conclusions. So these questions are directly, the answers of these questions should be directly available in the journal article. So before starting reading, I should have a mind map that I'm trying to get these answers from the article. Apart from this, there is one another question, that is, what is in it for me? That is WIFM. I call it as a WIFM, that is W. So what information from this article will be useful for my understanding, for my current research, for the problem that I'm trying to solve? So that should be the very important question I should have in mind before I start reading. So if I set my purpose before the reading, it will be very easy to grab the understanding, grab the takeaways from that particular article. So we should start with purpose. So this slide represents what questions we should frame before start reading of an article. Now, I'm showing in this slide a process of a reading. There are 3 steps. I call these steps as passes. First pass is relevant or is related to context of the article. In the first pass, I will do a reading in a systematic way, so that I should have a sense of context of that particular article. Once I read this, I will try to figure out whether that article is relevant to the topic or the problem or the research that I am conducting. If I found that after doing this first pass reading, if that article is relevant to me, then and only then I will do the second pass reading. So in the second pass reading is all about confirmation. So what I am confirming is the understanding about the questions that I framed, about the overall reading purpose, those O, M, R, C, and W questions that I framed. And I try to understand from the context perspective, that in the first pass, I tried to grab the answers for those questions. In the second pass, I'm trying to confirm my understanding, confirm these answers in the second pass, whether I correctly understood objective, method, result, conclusions. That is the whole purpose of this second pass reading. If I found that the topic that paper has covered is most relevant or it is reasonably matching to my current research problem, and I feel that I have a feeling that if I reproduce same problem, if I either virtually, mentally, or doing experiments, simulations, something like that, if I can reproduce that problem, I may tackle the research problem framed for me. If that answer is yes, then and only then I will do the third pass reading. And the third pass reading, I'm giving a name, it is a clone. We are trying to clone the current research article. That's the purpose in the third pass reading. We should mentally prepare to reproduce the same article work. That is the third pass reading. So I will go one by one this passes, and I will try to explain what exactly we are doing in each of these passes. So let's start with the first pass reading. The goal of the first pass reading is first to assure whether that article is relevant to me, whether the content covered, whether the overall research problem, novelty that has been brought by that article is whether relevant to my current research problem, whether my current research is in line with that particular article or not. That's what I wanted to assure. Second, I just wanted to sense paper's context by learning its content, methods, and findings. So just I wanted to sense what is the context of that particular article. The last goal is to recognize how author has framed the goals, how he has solved the problem, and how he has accomplished the solution. So I just wanted to recognize whether he has a right approach, or he has set the method and he has found the results. Just I wanted to know whether everything is in place. That's the overall goal in the first pass reading. Being said, now I want to focus on the approach, what I should do in this first pass reading. In the first pass reading, I will carefully read the title, abstract, introductions, second last or last paragraph. I will repeat. I will only read the title, abstract, introduction sections, last or second last paragraph, that I will carefully read. Followed by, I will read the section and subsection headings. I will ignore everything within these sections and subsections. So I will just only read the headings. I will read the conclusion section in detail. And in the last, I will glance over the references. I will skim through the references, and I will try to check whether any reference I have already read, or already I know some of the authors, some of the journal publications. That I will try to just figure it out. So this is basically skimming of the paper. Just read the title, abstract, introduction, second last or last paragraph, then section and subsection headings, conclusions, and glance through the references. Now we have set the purpose that we need to answer this O, M, R, C, and W question. So if I just doing this kind of skimming, what I will know is, first, the author might have outlined something, he is proposing something, he might be describing something, presenting something, examining something, addressing something, focusing, investing, evaluating, validating, examining, formulating, and estimating something. One of these things he might be doing, and that is the objective of his research. So I will try to understand the objective of the article by this first pass method, and I will figure out that one among these he might be doing, and in a similar line some other things he might be doing. But either he is presenting something, finding something, examining something, once among these he will be doing. Now, from the methods perspective, either that article might be a review, he might be conducting a survey, and from that survey he might be doing some analysis and trying to understand find the solution for the problem under his study. Otherwise, it might be a completely analytical approach. He might be using some methods where he is using fundamental physics concepts to come up with the analytical equations, and by solving those analytical equations, he probably devising the solution. Another approach, he might be proposing a numerical method to solve the problem, where finite element methods, finite difference method, advanced numerical methods might be deployed. Or lastly, he might be focusing on any of the experimental technique in relevance to the field or in relevance to the particular problem he might be using. So one among these, or combination of this, analytical plus numerical, numerical plus experimental, analytical experimental, something clubbed together, he might be trying to doing to find the solution. So that might be the a glance or bird's eye view on the method that I can understand from the first pass. From the results, we can understand that there might be some strong relation, some relation, or no relation between variables. Like there might be a positive relation between x and y, or negative relation between x and y, or there is no relation between x and y that he might be finding from solving that particular problem. So we can understand in the first pass, is he coming up with such kind of statements. From the conclusion point of view, he might be highlighting, author might be highlighting, stressing, underlining, giving importance of particular thing, or he might be devising a methodology or a procedure, strategy which solve a problem more efficient, elegant way. So that is the part of conclusion we can just gaze from first pass reading. And in the last, we can decide, once we know these things, we can decide the relevance of the article, whether this article is in line with my research or not. So that simple question can be judged from the first pass reading. So there is a checklist. This is the checklist I do when I do first pass reading. If I have understood these things: objective, method, result, conclusions, and what is it in for me. So this is all about first pass reading. One important point is, I specifically said you do not have to read introduction in a detail. You only have to read last or second last paragraph. This is because in the introduction session, the last or second last paragraph is where the author will restate its objective and briefly cover the method and the novelty. So when I start reading the abstract, I will have objective, methods, results, conclusion in my mind. When I read the introduction's second last or last paragraph, I will affirm, I will reconfirm the understanding after reading the abstract, whether the same objective, same method he is trying to put in the introduction section. So that will help me to confirm my understanding. Okay, so rest of the introduction is all about background, motivation, the literature reviews, and research scope and research definition. In the conclusion section as well, if you notice conclusion section, the first paragraph of the conclusion section will cover the objective, method, and the novelty in it. And later, the author will try to give the conclusions of his study. So again, if I read the conclusions, I will get the confirmation for these objective, method, results, and conclusions. Okay, so there are multiple points in the article where I can get the answers for the same questions. So abstract, introduction, second last paragraph, and conclusion, these are the key 3 sections where I will get these answers in the first pass reading. Now, as I said, if this paper is relevant, then and only then I will do the second pass reading. Otherwise, I will skip this second pass reading and I will find another article for a reading from my reading watch list. That is end of the first pass reading. If this paper is relevant to me, I will do the second pass reading. Now, the goals in the second pass reading, as I earlier briefed, is to confirm the understanding about this OMCRW. Second important thing I will do is to compile this OMCRW in text editor like a Word. And in the third, I will judge author's goals, methodology, and accomplishments in more detail. In the first pass, I just tried to recognize these goals, methodology, and accomplishment. But now I try to judge whether all these methods, all these results, they are as per my understanding, as per the relevant knowledge in that particular field. Okay, that is the goals I have in the second pass reading. So in the second pass reading, in the first pass reading, I'm just skimming the paper, but in the second pass reading, I will do active reading, in the sense that I will use some highlights, annotations to highlight these answers. I prefer this color coding. Objective, I will color code with red. Methods, I will color code with yellow. The results, I will color code with green. Conclusions with blue, and WIFM with purple. So I have created this color coding, and I use reference managers such as Mendeley, where these colors are available. So once I found objective of the article, I will highlight it with red. If I found relevance sentence with respect to method, I will highlight it with yellow. If I found some result, statement related to result, I will highlight it with green. And the conclusions with blue, and any other references or future scope, I will highlight it with purple. The objective or the idea behind highlighting is, once you read an article, you will stop. But let's say if you have an task to read this article again, then you should not start from a scratch. If you have highlighted these things, when you come again, these highlights will help you to find out these OMRCW things. So that is the objective of these highlights. There is no role of these highlights in actual paper writing or publishing. This is just a trick to avoid or spending time reading the same article. Now with this is an approach in second pass reading. In the second pass reading, as I already read the title, abstract, introduction, second last or last paragraph, I will read it, and now I will use these highlights to highlight this objective, method, results, and conclusions. So abstract will give me OMRC, all those things. Similarly, I will highlight objective and methods in the introduction, second last or last paragraph. Now I will start reading the section and subsection headings that I do in the first pass as well. So I'm repeating this stage. Now everything in this sections and subsection heading I will skip. Only what I will read is, I will read figure and table captions. I will read every word in the figure and table captions, and I will try to interpret what the research author want to interpret from these figures and tables. that I will try to interpret. So I am actively engaged in the reading. I'm not reading the text provided by the author. I will read I will read the figure captions and I will observe the figures tables, and I will try to postulate the predictions of the author, what he might have concluded from the figures and these tables. That is the active reading I will do. Lastly, as in the first pass, I will do the reading of the conclusions, and again I will highlight objective, method, key results, and key conclusions. Lastly, I will glance over the references and I will highlight now the references that I feel should be part of my reading list. Lastly, I will open a text editor like a Word, and there I will copy paste these objective, method, research, conclusions, and W. These statements as it is from the article. I will not do any modification to this OMCRW statements. As it is, I will copy and paste into text editor. Okay, so this is the approach in the second pass reading. So the compilation part I will discuss in detail once I complete this reading phase. So this is the overall approach in the second pass reading, where my focus will be on abstract, introduction, methods, heading and subheadings of the all sections. Now I will actively read figure and table captions. I will highlight this OMCRW wherever I found those statements. Additionally, I will highlight the references that I feel more relevant. I should read them. I should read them for my research. So these are the key tasks I will do in this second pass reading, and I will start compiling. When I say compiling, I'm not editing them. I'm copying and pasting at some text editor. Now, this is the checklist that I follow when I do the second pass reading. So these are the same questions. Gray colored one are the answers from the first pass reading. But in the second pass reading, this is the tasks and this is the checklist. I will try to confirm the objective of the paper, whether the understanding in the first pass and the understanding in the second pass is the same. Sometimes it happens that we misjudge the objective. So that I will try to confirm. From methods perspective, by understanding the table figure captions, the section headings, I will try to identify and confirm underlying assumptions, simplifications, and what type of methods author has deployed. So basically, I will actively participate in the reading and try to understand if is there any assumption. Try to understand is there any simplification he has done. And he has used either analytical, numerical, or experimental method, or combination of these. So why he has used such a combination, or what are the challenges possibly he has to use other methods. Okay, so that I will do the check in the method section. In the result section, as I have gone through all the figures and table captions, probably I now better understand the relation between the variables. I can judge now this strong sum no relation that author has mentioned in this abstract section that I read in the first pass. I will have a proper understanding if I actively read the figure table captions and I actively go through the figures. I will understand the correlation between the parameters. Whether what he has said, if he said there is a strong relation between X and Y, then why he has said like that. So I can figure it out from the figure. Likewise, in the abstract section, he is not giving all the relevant, all the results. Author will give only the key results. So along with these key results, when I go through figure and captions, what I will found is there are secondary results as well. So primary results author will put into the abstract, but there are secondary results. Those are also the part of the manuscript, I will understand these secondary results in the second pass. Now, in the third, in the conclusions, I will just confirm whatever understanding I have through these objective method results in the second pass in the conclusions. So I will reaffirm whatever conclusions he has made. And in the W question, I will try to find out what are the useful references in line with the article that I should have in my reading list. So that is the second pass reading. So compared to the first pass, in the second pass, I am more actively reading. I am using highlighters. I am engaged in the content. I am trying to judge. I'm trying to not judge. I'm trying to understand the underlying assumptions, simplification, trying to understand primary and secondary results, something like this. That is the part. That is the focus in the second pass. Now, if I found after reading the second pass, the article is matches reasonably with the current ongoing my research. For example, I do work in this blast mechanics. I was interested to simulate the effect of blast on a human body. There are several authors, those tried to use the blast tubes for rat experiments. They exposed the blast wave to the rats. So those papers were more relevant to me. So I do because the majority of the work of that particular research is in line with my research. So in such a scenarios, what I need to do is I need to read this article thoroughly. So that is the focus of the third pass. So if the article matches to the pursuit of my research, then and only then I will do the third pass reading. So if my answer is yes, I will start reading the third pass. Here again, I have already compiled the OMCRW. Now, in this OMCRW, in the third pass, there will be few more additions as I'm now reading in detail. Some sections I will do reading in detail. So from those sections, I will get more insights, more valuable information. So that I will now add to the text editor where I have compiled this OMCRW. Once I complete this third pass reading, I will try to understand the pros and cons of these articles, positive and negative sides of these articles, limitations, challenges of these articles, like that. I will try to summarize in simple words or tags. So I will show that in my text editor. Now, there is another way to look at it, the purpose of reading. If I am a researcher, if I am doing a PhD, or if I am doing some kind of research on some problem, then this third pass reading, the first statement, first code of block is very important, then and only then. But there are another people, they are reviewer of the articles. Like if you are a reviewer for a certain journal, then also you need to do a third pass reading, because you need to provide a constructive, structured comments to the authors. So in that case, this third pass reading is mandatory for the reviewers. Otherwise, you can skip this third pass reading. You have already compiled the OMCRW. You just try to figure it out, what are the pros and cons of that particular article. So this is just a kind of flow chart which give me an idea whether I need to do this third pass reading or not. So now the goals in the third pass reading is this: can I attempt virtually re-implementing or cloning the work of this paper? I'm not starting once my focus is not immediately start reproducing this work. I should think in such a way that if I given a chance to reproduce this work, can I do that? So in that sense, I can try to understand underlying assumptions, simplification, experimental setup, numerical methods, analytical methods, all the input required parameters. All these I should try to understand. So that either virtually I should re-implement, mentally I should do the thought process that author has done and try to figure out whether there is any loophole in that particular article. Okay. So in this particular stage, I am doing devil's advocate. Devil's advocate means I am criticizing each and everything that I found useful. I will try to probe if this went wrong, what will happen? Is this correct? Like that mindset I will have, and I will try to read the third pass. I will try to perform the reading in the third pass. As well, as I said, I will try to understand and judge the assumptions, simplifications, limitations, challenges of this work. Parallelly, I will try to canvas the ideas for the future work. If I found something is having a loose thread, can it be my future work? Can that loose thread can be removed from the article? Like that, I will think and I will try to canvas, try to list these ideas. So that will be part of my, again, text editor. Now, this is the goals in the third pass reading. Now, reading approach in this third pass reading is, you will read, as you have already read, the abstract, introduction, second last paragraph, section headings and subheadings, figure captions and table captions you have already read. In this particular reading, we are focusing more on methods, results and discussion section. We will highlight again this objective, methods, result, additional information, whatever we feel relevant, that we will try to highlight in individual section. We will read each and every line of the section and subsections. We'll try to identify the lead tail body of each and every paragraph. For example, each section will consist of subsections. Like method section will have subsections, results will have subsections. So under subsections, there will be set of paragraphs. So each paragraph will have a particular structure. So from that structure, I will try to understand the lead. So lead is the opening statement of the paragraph where that idea has been proposed. The tail of that particular paragraph, end statement of that particular paragraph will give you a crisp summary what he want to say in the last statement. And the middle piece is the body where he try to give the supporting statement for that particular idea. So when I start reading, I will figure this out. What is the lead statement? What is the tail statement? And what is the body? So for the some sections, when I actively read, I can, if I start reading like this, first I will read the lead statement, I will read the tail statement. If I can figure out from reading the lead and tail statement, what should be the content of the body, if I can figure it out by understanding this lead and tail statement, I did not have to read the body. I did not have to read the body because I can judge what will be the content. I should understand the idea presented in that particular paragraph. So if I understand that particular idea, I can just annotate the paragraph with that particular idea. So in the side margins of the paper, I will give the word like this is validation, this is calibration, this is about data acquisition system, this is about loads and boundary conditions in FEM. Like that, I can give the tags. I can give the idea tags to each and every paragraphs of these sections. So if I could not figure it out, what is means I could, from reading the lead and tail of the paragraph, if I could not if I could not figure out what it is contained in that particular paragraph, then I will read the body in detail. So we can skip some of the paragraphs of the sections by just following this particular approach. But most of the time, we need to read each and every paragraph. And at the last, I will glance over the references, highlight the ones that you need to add your reading list. But now in the third pass reading, as I have read almost 70% of the article, like methods, results, and discussion will cover almost 70% of the article. Once I read these sections, I will observe that one particular reference has been cited more. That is the most cited reference. Possibly one of the author or two or more of the author has been cited mostly, frequently they might have been cited, or there might be one or two relevant papers which have more contribution to the published article that we are reading. So when I glance through the reference list, I will try to figure out which is the most cited reference, which is the most cited author, or which is the most relevant paper that I can add to my reading list. Okay, so this is the overall third pass reading. Now in the third pass reading, it's basically devil's advocate. Everything I will try to criticize, try to judge whether it is correct. That is the overall purpose. So in the objective section, there that will not now vary. It will be objective, will be the same. Only what will change in the method section, I will try to say, are the underlying assumptions, simplification, and physical processes are correct? Do they follow the laws of the physics? Do they follow the first principles? Are the assumptions correct? What are the implications, what are the consequences of such and such simplifications? What are the noises in the physical process? What are the missing elements in the physical process? That I will try to judge from the detailed reading of methods, results, and conclusion sections, particularly in these method sections. In the results sections, I will try to sense whether results make sense. Are they following these laws? Are they intuitive? Are they logically making sense? That I will try to see. Or there are any limitations. Some assumption is missing or wrong, and that is why author is putting this such a relation. So is there any limitation of the experimental study? Is there a limitation of the numerical study? Is there any consequence of assumption or simplification in the analytical study? And that is why results are coming like this. That I will try to sense in the results section. In the conclusion section, like results section, I will try to figure it out whether these conclusions, whether all the inferences, all the findings drawn by the author are logically correct. Has he come up these conclusions from the evidences that he has shown in figures and tables? So that will be my checklist in the conclusion section. And in the last, once I read this particularly methods and discussion section, what I will get is I will get the useful references that I should have in my reading watch list. As well, I will get to know the limitations of the study. I will get to know the future scope for this particular work that author might have stated in one of his paragraphs. Along with this, as I said, this paper was most relevant, most closely matching to my current research objective or current research theme that I am working. My major questions will be, all the relevant information to reproduce work is available in this article or not? If it is available, then in coming days or when I start actually doing the work, I can start reproducing this work. So all the relevant parameters to reproduce this work, are they available? Is some missing element is there or not? That I will try to judge along with other questions. So this is overall about the three passes of reading. So as I said, first pass was mostly focused on understanding the context of the article. In the second pass, we are trying to confirm our understanding about this objective, method, results, conclusion, and the W question. And in the last third pass, we were trying to do this devil's advocate, where we were trying to criticize each and every element that possibly present in the method section, result section, and in the discussion section. And we were aiming to mentally recreate the same work and trying to figure out the required parameters, limitations, and the future scope. Now I have shown a typical timeline for such a reading. So if the paper you are reading in the first class, it will hardly take 1 to 5 minutes. If the paper is relevant to you, it will take more time. If it is irrelevant, you within 1 or 2 minutes, you will skip it because you feel that it is just a waste. In the second pass, you will take sufficient amount time, closely 10 to 15 minutes, because here you are going through section headings, figure caption headings, understanding the figures, understanding the tables, and trying to sense overall method, overall objective, and overall findings of the article. But in the third pass, you will take more time because you are now reading this methods, results, and discussion section line by line. You are reading between the lines. You are trying to highlight it. You are trying to grab the loopholes in the article. So it will take much more of time. Though I have mentioned here 1 to 3 hours, it may take more than that. But the last phase, last particular thing will take means, because you can see these are the filters. So in the first pass, you will have many more papers. If you have done a literature survey, and from that literature survey on a particular topic, if you have 100 papers, you need to glance through these 100 papers to decide whether they are relevant or not. So how you will spend 1 or 5 minutes on this first pass for those. But out of 100, there will be very few papers which you feel that they should go into the second pass. So you are applying a filter in the second pass. So in the second pass, there will be few papers. Those can go to the third pass. So the third pass will have very few papers. What I have experienced is when I was doing the research, doing the PhD, almost more than 200 papers might have read, but out of those, close to 8 or 9 papers were there. Those were there in the third pass, because I'm trying to reproduce those papers, trying to understand each and every input parameters that author has given, and reproducing the simulations, reproducing the experiments. So there are very few papers in the third pass, but you will almost by the time if you have done the sufficient literature survey and you have sufficient literature reading list, you will read the most relevant articles in your in that particular research area. So this is all about reading, this 3-pass method. Now I will spend few minutes on this compiling. So I will show my screen about this text document that I usually follow. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yeah. So here I am trying to show you the text editor, like a Word, I follow to compile the essence of articles. So this is a typical template that I follow. So on to the navigation side, if you see, I have mainly group summary and some theme level headings. Like here is the sub theme 1, that is possibly a background for the research article. In the introduction section, the first paragraph is all about background. So if I am writing that particular background, if I want to write the background section, I need to do the literature review. I need to read the articles relevant to the background. So what I will do is I will read these articles, means those who are compiled through literature review, literature survey, and using this 3-pass method, I will try to read. And here you can see this, there is an objective, there is a method, results, conclusions, and this WIFM. So I will just copy and paste from Mendeley. I use Mendeley for reading. So I have highlighted those text. So I will simply copy and paste this objective, method, results, conclusions, and WIFM. So likewise, if there are multiple articles in my list, I will go through each and every article like that. So before reading second article, what I will try to map over here is the crisp summary from my viewpoint. What are the pros and cons of this article? Like, for example, in the background, if I reading an article, if it is only relevant to the US, if that is the epidemiological survey, and if it is only related to US, so I can write the pros and cons relevant to that. It is only done in the US, it is only specifically to certain specimens, like that. So like that, I will map the pros and cons of that article, positive sides and negative sides of this article, limitation, challenges that I can see. So I will only map those over here like this. So another thing that I will do is I will add reference. I will use Mendeley reference manager and I will insert the relevant reference over here. So if I add the reference here, a citation over there, I will also create the bibliography for the references. So here I will use the Mendeley reference manager for the citations. So this will include the citation and the bibliography. Once I do reading about all the papers available for the background, I will try to write the group summary using these tags, these summary tags. I will compile all the relevant information in 1 or 2 paragraphs that will give me a group summary. So likewise, this background group summary will be available. Likewise, I will have motivation summary. I will have a state of art on particular theme. Likewise, I will start compiling these group summaries. So you can see for each of this section, results validation section, if I'm reading some papers, I will create the group summaries. Like same in the discussion sections. If I'm working on some particular theme, I am trying to write the discussion section, I will do the relevant literature review, literature reading, and I will try to populate these group summaries. So I will go back again. So go back again to the presentation where I have compiled do's and don'ts for this compiling. So that will, I feel, helpful for the audience. So do's are this. Is my screen visible? Yes. Yeah. So the do's for the compilations of Essence is do copy and paste this OMCRW in document like docx, like Word. Add bibliography for the paper. So insert the citation using your preferred reference manager. Create the bibliography. Second, you must try to summarize pros and cons of the article. Instead of doing the paraphrasing like generally people do, generally students do create notes of the article in their own words. They will compile them in some reference manager. Like a Mendeley, there is a tab like a notebook where once I read the article, I will compile my own notes about that article. But I am against of it. I'm not suggesting to write paraphrasing and doing your own version of the understanding of the notes. I feel that is of no use. You just have to copy and paste these objective methods, conclusions, results, and this W. Important is overall understanding, bird's eye view on that particular idea. That is very important. So there this group summaries will help you. And as I said, your article can be written written effectively if you have a structure. So if you have an outline of an article, You just place these group summaries in that relevant outline. Okay, that is the advantage. And in a no paper, you will give a detailed review of an article. The article means multiple articles will hint you a one particular idea, and one statement you will write, and you will give the citation for that particular statement using these multiple references. So that is the nature of writing. So investing time in modifying investing time in understanding, then rewriting the understanding in your own words, and when you start again writing the manuscript, you need to modify that again, because it should be in line with the flow of the writing. So it will be a waste of time if you try to modify it. Okay, so simply you write group summaries, which will be a compiled version of these multiple articles. Now, if you have done these group summaries and something like that, if you have multiple references relevant to one particular theme, like if you are focusing on the method section, and if you find there are so many articles, so many methods, then better way is to create a summary table out of these articles. So where in the summary table, you can write this column wise study, objective, and the key findings. Okay, so these are the tools for compilation. And next slide is about don'ts. So as I said earlier, you do not paraphrase or write the ideas in your own words. You will get enough chance when you start writing the manuscript. Write the summaries. You should not write the summaries in the reference manager. That is what is based on my experience, because this reference manager notebook summaries are available only for that particular article. But as a theme, as a multiple articles, if they are grouped together in a theme, you cannot see the summary of overall articles. In a one go, you cannot see all the article summary. So that is the limitation of this reference manager. The document created such the one I have shown, it is easy to see the overall summary of each of this theme in a one look. And you can as well, you can use these group summaries when you start writing the manuscript. The last piece is, do not forget to create the bibliography in the literature review compiler docs. So as I said, I use Mendeley reference manager. Using this Mendeley reference manager, I will use the by default template, by default reference citation style to create the bibliography. My purpose of creating a bibliography is to just check if the all required details of the reference are available in the Mendeley reference manager or not. There are chances that there are missing elements in the reference. Like sometimes the article may miss volume. Sometimes article miss the journal name. Likewise, there might be some missing elements in the reference. So to ensure your Mendeley reference manager is up to date or not, you need to create this bibliography and verify whether all the relevant required details of the reference are available or not. If you are found that if something is missing, you go to the manager and you edit that reference and add the relevant details so that that reference is complete. So that when you submit an article to any journal, your article will not be rejected, or in the proofreading, it may not show that some references you need to work upon. So in the first time, right, you will do all the correct references. So that's it from my side on this particular topic of reading and journal article and identifying, compiling the essence of the article. So if you have any question, you can ask. If there is no question, I can switch to the another topic that I have. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I will switch to the another topic. So the other topic that I have is how to outline the first draft of a manuscript. The prime focus of my discussion will be on the outline of the paper. When I focus on the outline and being it as a first draft, I'm not looking at the perfection. I'm just compiling the required details in the manuscript. So to start with, again, I would like to highlight the structure of a journal article. As I stated earlier in the earlier session, this is the overall structure of the article. Now, if you notice that I'm using two words, one is article and another one is manuscript. Article is the one which has already published, which has gone through peer review, it has gone through proofreading, it has been printed and available for public through websites, through the paper prints. This is the article. But now, as the title suggests, I'm saying a draft manuscript. So manuscript is different than the article. It is not yet published. It is work in a progress. It may be in the phase of peer review. So you have submitted the manuscript for a journal which may be in the peer review. So we here I'm trying to discuss about how to create a outline for such a draft manuscript which is not yet ready to submit, not yet fully prepared. So let me give the difference in the manuscript and the article structures. So as I showed earlier, the structure of a article. Now I'm trying to focus on the manuscript structure. So this section title, authors with list with affiliation, abstract, keywords, abbreviations, introduction, method, results, discussion, conclusions. These are the same sections in the manuscript. Okay. Only change is that notice that this acknowledgement, conflict of interest, and references these are the same things in the article as well. Only change is this list of figures, list of tables, figures, tables, they are outside of this article. They are not a part of, they are not in a text like the same we see in the article. They will be provided in separate pages. So figures will be provided separately, tables will be provided separately. If there is any supplementary material available, that is provided separately. So the framework or the structure that I am representing over here may be followed by some of the journals. Some journals may not follow this structure, but the list of figures, list of tables, they need to provide it separately. Okay. So in the manuscript, we do provide all the relevant text at one place. We provide all the figures at one place, and we provide the text tables at the one place. So that is the difference in article and a manuscript. So this is the way we need to submit in this structure, we need to submit an article, submit a manuscript. Okay. So I have highlighted the difference in the manuscript and the article. Now, along with these positional changes, there are certain key things required for a manuscript. So this is again journal to journal, this may vary, but this is what I feel this is what I have followed and generally preferred. The manuscript must be with double line spacing. So when you write this manuscript, you must use double spacing between the lines. That is the mandatory. Second thing is you should have line numbers for each of these lines. Each of the lines should be having a line number, and likewise you should have on every page the page number. Okay, so double line spacing, line numbers and page numbers are mandatory for a manuscript. The reason being, the manuscript, when it undergo a peer review, a peer reviewer who is a researcher, who is a professor in some institute, if he want to comment on something, he will give you the line number, page number, and his statements. So these faculties, they do generally review on a print of your manuscript, and there they add this their comments between this spacing. So that is why double spacing is required. So manuscript is generally given in double spacing with line numbers and with the page numbers. Now I will give you guidelines for this draft. I will give the guidelines for each of these key element, and we will try to understand what structure each of these elements should have. Okay, so for the first title of the article, it should be concise and informative. It should be crisp and clear what overall idea of this article is. Okay, it should be engaging and provoking a reader to read the article further. So he should not move away from after reading the title, he should not skip your article. You should go through abstract, all the relevant information in the article. So title is the first place where you engage the reader in the reading. So objective of the title is to engage and provoke the reader. So that's the way it should be written. There should not be any abbreviations or formulae in the title. There should not be any unknown words, complex words in the title. So these are the guidelines for the title. Then the second part is authors list with affiliation. These are the guidelines. The authors list with affiliation should contain the name and family name of the author or authors. If there are multiple authors, we should give name and all the surname of the author. Their spelling should be correct. Now, we should also provide the addresses of these authors. So affiliated address where the actual work has been done, that should be provided. And to provide this affiliation, we generally use lowercase letters, A, B. If there are two addresses, then first address, if I write A, second address as a B, the first author who is belonging to address A, I will mark this lower letter as a superscript above the name of that particular author. Likewise for the second author. And along with this, we should have a corresponding author. Among the available authors, what is the corresponding author? That we should clearly mention in the manuscript. So when we submit the article, they ask for the corresponding author. So the corresponding author role is very critical. The email address, his details should be up to date. Okay. Now coming to the abstract. So these are the guidelines. First is it should be concise summary of the journal article. It should stand alone, means without reading any other paragraphs, other statements in the article. If I read an abstract, it should give me a clear picture of the research work that has been done. So it should stand alone without necessary to read anything apart from the abstract. It should be accurate. It should be clear and concise. When I say accurate, we should focus on the percentage or significant digits that we document in the abstract. So there should be sufficient level of significant digits present in the present in the abstract. It should be, each sentence should be clear and concise, no jargons, no complex sentence structure. And in overall, this abstract should be written within 250 to 300 words. So each journal dictates how many words limitation is there for the abstract. We should not write any references or any non-standard or uncommon abbreviation in the abstract, so that the reader is confused. Reader should not be confused with the references or non-standard these items. If there is a necessity to add a reference without which we cannot write an abstract, then and only then we should write this citation with author and year in the abstract. But this should be mostly avoided. Like same thing is there for the abbreviation. They should be avoided if we wanted to write them. So this abbreviation should be clearly defined at the first place of their appearance. Now I'm giving you, I have said the guidelines for the abstract. Now I'm proposing a structure. This is the outline for the abstract. The abstract should contain these many elements. So abstract should contain a sentence which gives you a background or a context of the research presented in the article. So one statement on the context. Second statement should rationalize the research motive, that will dictate the motivation of the research. Third statement will give me overall purpose of my research, purpose of the study, that is the objective of the paper. This should be followed by one or two sentences that defines the methodology of the research. This is followed by one or two statements related to summarizing or a summary of key findings of the work, followed by one sentence providing inferences, these are the conclusions of the study, and a last statement which gives you the significance of the work in terms of novelty and contributions to the field. So there are 7 statements, minimum 7 statements possible to write. They must be the part of the abstract when you write an abstract. So when you start writing an abstract, if you have a framework, like you should have this background, motivation, objective, method, results, conclusion, and significance statements, then you completely write the abstract. So when you're writing, you should keep these words in the mind. Okay. So now coming to the keywords, that is this followed element in the article. These are the guidelines. Keywords are for indexing, so that somebody searches some keywords, your article is popped up, that reader will get your article. So this is the purpose of indexing. So keywords are very critical. If you want citations to your article readability needs to be improved. So these keywords should be very specific and precise. The title word, the words contained in the title should not be part of keywords. They should not be overlapping words in the title and the in the keyword section, because you are losing the keywords if they are matching. You should very specific about the choice of the keywords. We should not give any vague or general keywords. Now we must have reflection of our research. These words should reflect the overall research theme, and there should be 5 to 7 such keywords. So it will again dictated by the journal how many words such have, but minimum 5 should be given to complete the keyword list. Now coming to the abbreviation, abbreviations are non-standard. Those abbreviations which are non-standard in the field, those only should be given. So pressure, this is common term. So we should not give pressure as a P. So that is a common term. So we should not create abbreviation for the known terms. And there should be consistency of the abbreviation. For example, if I am using pressure, one place capital P, at the all other places it should be a capital P. Or if I am using small letter P for a pressure, it should be all at place, it should be small p. So there should be consistency in the abbreviations. Okay, so at this point I have already discussed abbreviation should not be part of abstract. Now coming to the main section, that is introduction. So purpose of introduction is to provide adequate background to the research problem. So it should contain the background, motivation, state-of-art research, literature review surrounding the topic, research gaps. That should be analysis of the literature review. So this will give the reviewer, the reader, a adequate background around that particular problem. So this is the part of introduction. And in the introduction, we should not give detailed literature review. Like I was trying to say in the earlier session, we should summarize the themes. We should not give this author worked in this particular problem, he done like this, that. No need of that. The outcome should be summarized as a part of this literature review. So these group summaries will help in this particular section. If I am working on a background, I will use that group summary. So related to this literature survey, this should not be given in a detail. That is the first thing. It is preferred to present the literature survey in a thematic scheme. We can create the themes around the literature survey either in a chronological way, either based on the idea, based on the concept. Like that, we can create the theme, and we can present the relevant articles in each of these paragraphs. Likewise, I said you can create the summary tables for the literature review. If I have 10 different numerical methods, 10 different models, or 10 different specimens used by the researchers in the community, I can create a summary table where I can write objective of the study and key findings of the study, so that the reviewer and the reader in one shot have a clear picture about the background or the background of the particular problem. Now, introduction section must have research gaps, scope, and objective. We present the literature review. From that literature review, one must identify the present gaps in the literature. From this present gap, probably there is the scope which you think as a part of your research, part of your PhD, you can tackle. So among that scope, you will try to figure out one of the scope statement you are trying to handle in particular this article. So that is your objective of the research. So percolating from literature survey to research gaps to scope and to the objective, this journey should be highlighted. That journey should be clearly visible, clearly written in the introduction section. So to do that, this is the structure that I generally follow, and this is followed by many researchers. This is the general convention to write the introduction. So you do the homework, like you go back home and you try to read the introduction section, you will find the similar way it has been written. So one paragraph will be dedicated to background. One paragraph will be dedicated to motivation. There is a possibility that this background and motivation may be clubbed together, but there must be a paragraph which covers these 2 points. Then there will be a state of art. When I say state of art, it is the literature review surrounding the topic of this context presented in background and motivation. So we can have a survey in a thematic way, or we can, in a single or 2 paragraphs, we can crisply summarize the review, and possibly we can aid it with a table. Then it will come a paragraph on research gap and scope, followed by a objective statement. In one of the paragraph, we will clearly define the objective of the article that will come from the research scope. The objective followed by a brief statement about the method that we are going to follow, and the novelty which is coming out of this particular work, that is highlighted in one of the paragraph, which clearly gives you the objective of the paper. So one paragraph should be dedicated to this. And lastly, there is this varies with journal to journal based on the limitation of the number of pages or limitation of the number of words possible in the manuscript. This organization of the paper is the optional paragraph, where you define in which section what you are trying to write. So organization of the paper is the one paragraph that is optional in the structure of introduction. So mandatory sections are background, motivation, state of art, research gap and scope, and objective. So they should be there. So within this, I would say seven paragraphs, 7 to 8 paragraphs, you will write the introduction. If you need supporting tables and figures, you can add into the introduction. Okay, so that is all about the introduction. Now I will march to the method section. These are the general guidelines. We should provide sufficient details to allow the work to be reproduced by independent researchers. So the purpose of method section is, if a person which is not from your lab, which is not from your group, which is outside of your research work community, he should independently reproduce your work. So that much details should be provided in the method section. So methods, we can have already established method that we can use. Otherwise, we can twist the already established method, or last chance is I can come up with my own method. So if the method is already published by me, which I have developed, I should crisply summarize that particular method without giving again all the required details. So I should crisply summarize the method if I have already published that. If somebody else has been published, also I need to give the relevant details. If I'm doing modification to existing method, then I should clearly describe already existing method, as well as I should clearly state the modification that I'm trying to do and the reasoning behind the modification that I'm doing. So these are the guidelines for the method section. Now coming to the structures. So what I feel is, a paper with a method section should have the structure like this. One paragraph should be focused on the proposed solution. That may be an approach or a hypothesis. One paragraph should be there on what we are trying to do and how we are trying to do. So method section will start with, again, a brief statements about the objective and this proposed solution for the problem. Now this is followed by analytical method. There might be 3 methods that one can deploy, or combination of these can be deployed: analytical method, numerical method, and experimental method. So followed by the first paragraph, we should give all the details. If we are using all these 3, we should give all these 3 details. If you are using any one of these 2, we should give all the details of these 2 methods. Now sequence of this method, like whether I need to give analytical first, numerical first, or experimental first, that will be dictated by the focus of your article. If you are focusing more on the experiment, and if you are following a numerical method for just validation of the experiments, then you should have experimental methods as the first section or first subheading. It should be followed by the numerical method. So likewise, we need to judge, we need to decide which section should have most priority. So now going into details of it, like if I am writing an analytical paper, I have some procedure for a problem using the analytical methods. I have come up with the equation and the procedure, what it should be included. So if there is an analytical method I am following, then it should clearly mention, or the passage or paragraphs should clearly have these many details. One is assumption and simplification. Second one is governing equation of mathematical models, dependent and independent variables of the problem. What are the loads? What are the boundary conditions? boundary conditions from two perspectives, displacement boundary conditions or this force boundary conditions, and the time dependent boundary conditions. All these details should be given. And what solution procedure I am using for a solution solving these equations. I am using some regression or regression, and based on that I'm trying to figure out something, or if I'm doing some numerical methods, numerical differentiation, numerical integration, if I'm trying to do like that, that all solution procedures should be given. Now this should be supported with relevant equations, figures, and tables. So if I'm writing analytical methods as a subheading, this should cover these details. Now, if I'm trying to write a numerical method, if I'm working on a finite element model, that model should be discussed in a detail in relevance to these points. First one is a geometry, second one is materials, third one is a mesh. In a mesh, we should provide the details about nodes, element types, mesh sensitivity, how your results vary with respect to the size of the elements, and how you choose a particular size of elements, or how you choose particular type of elements. All these required details should be stated clearly. Then contacts. In the contacts, if there are multiple bodies, they are interacting with each other, what type of interactions, whether they are frictional, frictionless, bonded, MPC, from a structural point of view, I'm saying this should be given. From thermal or fluid background, similar interaction should be clearly stated. Followed by loads and boundary conditions. So every details related to loads and boundary conditions should be provided. This is followed by solution setting, whether you are doing static analysis, whether you are doing dynamic analysis, whether you are following explicit method, what should be your time step sizing, what is the critical time step size. All these details should be captured in one of the paragraphs. Then output variable, the output like displacement. Are you tracing displacement? Are you tracing stresses, strains? What type of stresses? Principal stress, normal stresses? What type of this parameters you are trying, that you should clearly mention. Also, verification and validation should be how you are validating your numerical model. Are you reproducing already published simulation results? Are you verifying it against the already available analytical solution, already available empirical solution? So how you are validating and verifying your numerical model, that you should clearly define. This should be followed by what type of software and hardware you use to solve this numerical problem. That should be the coverage you should give to the numerical methods. And lastly, means this should be supported by relevant tables and figures. Now coming to the experimental methods, these are the contents we should have: a specimen and its preparation, experimental setup details, what type of measurement system, like sensors if you are using, what type of sensor, which company that manufactures, what grade, all these details should be given. Followed by procedure, if we are doing calibration, how we did the calibration of the experiment, any verification, any calibration component, calibration specimen is there, against that we calibrated. All these details should be given. Data acquisition system, at what rate you are acquiring the data, how you are storing the data. Followed by signal processing, if you are doing some data processing of that particular measurement, this should be provided. And again, as similar to earlier sections, it should be supported with tables and figures. Now coming to the results section, these are the guidelines. We should present the findings of the work in a logical and coherent manner. There should be some flow in the results section. So we should build the result section on from step by step. So one result should highlight me the next result. Second result should give me some hint for the third result. So in a logical manner, I should build the result section. There should be coherence, means similar theme results should be grouped together and created one theme like that. We can use both qualitative and quantitative analysis to understand the results. There are statistical approaches, there are non-statistical inferential approaches to understand the results. So both can be used to understand the results. They are all should be supported with the figures and the statistical parameters. Main thing in the results section is we should not interpret the results. We should only note the observations from the graphs, charts, and all the relevant information that we are proposing or that we have come up from the methods that we have followed. We should not interpret, we should not conclude the results in this particular results section. So interpretation is the area, interpretation is the task of the discussion section. So that is weighted, that is kept aside for the discussion section. Now, being said these guidelines, this is the structure that I follow, and this you will find in many of the articles. So it will start with first paragraph or first bullet subheading with the verification and validation. So if you are using experiment, if you are doing numerical, you are analytical, it should be verified or validated. So for that, you need to give one particular section. This should be followed by now parametric studies. You will try to understand effect of one parameter on the other. There may be set of controllable parameters, and you wanted to study the effect of these controllable parameters on the outcome. So this is the part of a parametric study. So you will create parametric study, these results of the parametric study based on the underlying parameter. So for a paper, at least such 3 results should be there. So there should be 3 such parametric study results should be there, or there should be some themes, sufficient themes. Like if I'm doing some review, if I'm coming up writing a review article, I should create at least 3 to 4 themes, and then I should write this particular result section. Okay, so I'm giving the name instead of parametric study 1 result, I'm giving it the name as a theme. So there should be theme results followed by verification and validation section. So this should be the content of this theme. So we should describe the results with supporting figures and tables. We should clearly write our observation. We should not write the jargons, verbose should be avoided. We should not draw any inferences from the results. And the most important is we should, once if I am doing a parametric study, I should try to compare it with any analytical procedure that I am doing, any numerical procedure that I am doing, any experimental procedure that I am doing. So I'm comparing against my own set of studies, or I should study the effect of that particular parameter with respect to already published literature. So that details can be a part of the theme 1 result, and similarly it will go with theme 2 and theme 3 results. So this is all about the structure of the result section. Now I will talk on discussion section. These are the guidelines. Discussion section should explore, it should state the significance of the results, of the work, and not repeat them. So here we should try to avoid the results section again. In the discussion section, it is generally a habit that in figure number 1 we found this and we are interpreting like this. It should not be like that. We should directly come from figure 1. This is the significance of this figure 1, like that. So we should not restate the results in the discussion section. We can use these tricks. We can compare and contrast the results with already published the literature. We can understand and write the broader implication of this particular study in terms of theory or practice or a policy, how they are affecting. As well, we can write the contributions this study is making to the current knowledge, current understanding of the domain, that we can write. Now, we can also state in the discussion section limitations or weaknesses of the study. There are certain assumptions, there are certain simplifications that prohibit us from generalization of the approach. So that we should clearly define. So when we are defining the limitations, we should not say our study is kind of have a loophole. So we should not give a sense like that. We should write in such a way that even though there was a limitation, how our study is useful, how it contributes to the community, we should write that. Lastly, we should write the future scope of this work. There are simplification, challenges, limitations. So what we can do as a next step that we can write. Now, we need citations and cross-referencing in the discussion section, because every inference we are drawing, it should be linked to the figure or a table. So we need a cross-referencing. As well, if we are comparing, contrasting with the existing result, we need a citation for that. So we should use citation and cross-referencing in the discussion section. But we should not do this extensively. We should not do elaborate explanation of the already published result. We should take only a hint. We should only write a crisp way to refer to that particular citation. Now, this is the general structure of the discussion section. First paragraph of the discussion section should briefly state OMR, objective, method, and the key results. This should be followed by now theme. So in a result section, we have parametric study, theme 1, theme 2, theme 3, like that. With respect to theme 1, we should do the discussion. So as I said, we can draw similarities, differences with the existing literature. We can draw inferences, consequences of this study. We can highlight the relevant novelty and the contributions for this work, right? So we have, what we have to write in the discussion section is the similarity and differences, inferences, consequences of the study, and we can add relevant novelty and contributions. So these things should be there as a part of discussing particular theme. Likewise, we can write theme 2 results, 2 discussion. Likewise, I can write 3 discussions. So as many parameters you are studying, you can club this together into themes, and for those themes, you can write the discussion. Now, once we have completed the theme-wise discussion, we can write the limitations and challenges. So there might be simplifications, assumptions, which prohibit us from generalization. Those pose certain challenges. So we should clearly state what are the limitations and how we overcome those challenges, or what are our views in which the study is valid, that we should clearly mention. This should be followed by future scope for this particular work. So if there are limitations and challenges, obviously there will be a scope to improve. So that should be a part of future scope. And in the last paragraph or last statement of the discussion section should summarize the key points and conclusion within 1 or 2 statements. So this should be the structure of a discussion section. Now, conclusions, it should be standalone, and this is the structure of the conclusion. So we should restate in the first paragraph, we should restate the objective, method, key results, and novelty. And this should be followed by bulleted list of the conclusion. This is the way I write, and this is most preferred way to write the conclusion. In some of the authors use a paragraph, 1 paragraph, single paragraph to write the conclusions, but this I feel have more readability when we create a bulleted list. Now this is followed by acknowledgement section, where we create a separate section to acknowledge the individuals who provided the help. So you can think of the lab mates, lab assistants, technical advisors or consultants, or the data from which you have used. All these people you can acknowledge in the acknowledgement section. In some of the articles, there is a section called as an author's contribution, where the journal asks for each and every author's contribution, whether what kind of work he has done. So that might be another element present in the journal article. This is the section where we need to write that there is no conflict of authors present in this particular study. That is the mandatory section for nowadays all the journal articles. So that should be part of the manuscript. Now references. This is followed by references. For the references, these are the guidelines. Every reference cited in the text should also present in the reference list. So inline citation, whatever citation we have done should be a part of reference list, and vice versa. There should not be a reference hanging in the reference list. It should be present in the main text. Generally, reference manager softwares such as Mandal use. There are many such reference managers. So you can use one of those. If you have decided the journal, then the journal style of referencing will be available in that particular reference manager. You can use that particular template and create the citation and the bibliography. But you need to ensure that the manager will not ensure that is the required details of the references are there. So you need to ensure the reference provided by the manager fulfills all the required details. In the manuscript, this is followed by list of the figures. So this is the list of the figures that you have cross-referenced in the actual test. So possibly more than 6-7 figures, not more than 6-7 figures should be there. So generally limited figures should be there in your manuscript. So similar theme results or similar theme figures you should club together in panels of the figure. So figure 1 will have 4 panels, figure 2 may have 3 panels, like that. So panel creation should be there. List of tables should be followed by list of tables. Now I will talk about the figures. So figures, these are the guidelines. Figure should follow with figure caption. The caption should be standalone. When I say standalone, once you read the caption, you should be able to understand what it is there in that particular figure without reading the relevant text in the relevant section. So another guideline is there should be minimum text in the figure. So actual figure should have minimum text, minimum abbreviations, and minimum symbols and abbreviations should be used. Figure caption should be placed below the figure. This is general practice. Figure caption is always below the figure. And this figure should be numbered consequently. The numbering should be based on the appearance in the text. The first figure should have number 1, which is appearing first in the text. Likewise, all other figures should be numbered. Now, tables similar to the figures. These are the guidelines for the tables. It should be standalone. Important thing is it should be editable text. It should not be image like a figure. Table should be editable so that when proofreading is done, they will be placed appropriately. Table caption should be above the table. And table notes, if you are having some footnote for the table, it should be below the note. Numbers, same figure, similar to figures, it should be consecutively numbered and they should be appear as per their first appearance. They should be according to the first appearance. And now some of the work which you cannot add as a part of the main manuscript, you can provide them this as a supplementary material. So this is the last piece where you can provide appendices, you can provide relevant text, you can provide relevant figures, you can provide relevant tables. Okay, so this is all about the outline and the structure of the manuscript. So if you follow the detailed structure, you know what to place in what particular paragraph. So if you have done group summaries, if you have already done the created the figures in the Excel, Word, PowerPoint, you can just place those details in this draft, in the draft manuscript as it is. You can paste. Now I want to make sure that everybody understand this paragraph, though I have discussed in a brief in some of the slides. So paragraph represents a single idea. Paragraph consists of these 4 things: lead, body, tail, and transition. Lead is the opening statement, body is the supporting statements, tail is the last statement, and transition is, if it is required, there is a transition statement. This might be an optional statement which hints for the next paragraph idea. So this consists of a paragraph. Section consists of such paragraphs. So set of paragraphs will consist a section, and each section presents set of ideas. So why I am giving this, when you write some section or one paragraph, you should think in this line: what is the lead statement, what is the body, and what is the tail, if I need any transition statement for that particular paragraph or not. So if I think in this manner, I can create paragraphs. From paragraphs, I can create section which have coherency, which have a particular flow. So paragraph should be understood. From paragraph, you can write the sections. Now, my thoughts on the first draft of the article. The purpose of the first draft is to collect the relevant data in the form of manuscript. We are just collecting the required data. If we start writing the manuscript from the first statement with purity, with the perfection, we will not complete it. Means that there will be some inertia, there is some resistances to complete the manuscript. So idea is to just dump the data in the manuscript template. So I will show you the template that I have created. So purpose is collecting the relevant information that I have shown as a form of a structure. You can use the raw charts that you have created possibly in Excel, MATLAB, Python, or any other relevant graphing tool. You can use the raw tables, raw figures, these group summaries that you have created. What you have to do is you just dump the relevant paragraphs, relevant information at the required places. Suggestion is to avoid perfection. For the first draft, you need not to be a perfect, because perfection is against the completion. Don't use these smart tools like Grammarly at this stage. When you use Grammarly, it will give you hint what is the missing element, what is the mistake in that, comma, spelling, which will prohibit you from completion. So I suggest not using Grammarly. Now, last piece is relevant to this idea of paragraph. You have headings, subheadings, use them as a placeholder. Inside these subheadings, you create these tags like that I have shown as a form of structure. There you start writing each and every paragraphs. So when you start drafting, decide today you will write only introduction section. In the introduction section, you will mostly focusing on background, motivation. So you decide what you want to accomplish in that particular day, and you will only focus on that particular section heading or subheading, like that. So you start writing the paragraphs in a crude way. You need not to be grammatically correct. You need not to be chasing the tense, the structure of the statement, active voice, passive voice. You just simply has to put the idea over there. So I think I stop it over here. If you have any question, you can ask. So before going there, I would like to share the template that I have, that I use. So that everybody understands how useful templates are. They help you to improve your productivity. They are efficient, because there are some things in the manuscript, they are constant, like your name is always there, so it will be always part of your template of the manuscript. These details will always be there. Now you see over here, these are the sections. So there is an introduction, methods, results, discussion, and summary. In that methods, I have put this structure that I had discussed: analytical method, experimental method, numerical method. In results, I have verification and validation, theme 1, theme 2, theme 3 results. Discussion section has these three theme discussion, limitation and challenges, and future scope. All rest of this document has the particular structure. So here is the abstract. I have the same structure that I have created. So when I write this background, I will think of only one statement which clearly gives me the background of that particular work. Likewise, motivation, more objective. So I am restraining from vague thoughts in my mind. When I start writing, I will think only on this particular bullet, like keywords, abbreviations. Now background. As I was saying, I will think on one particular paragraph that I might have created from the group summary. I will just dump that paragraph from the group summaries over here. So my background will be there. So automatically my background will be compiled over here. Likewise, for motivation, if I am doing some literature review, that I will dump over here. Likewise, literature survey, research gap and scope, objective, that I will write. So I'm just dumping the data in this particular template. Likewise, method. So in the method section, one particular paragraph should summarize my approach, followed by analytical, experimental, numerical details. So as I said, sequence might be based on your focus. This should be followed by results, which first section should be verification and validation, followed by theme-wise results. So the guidelines that I have discussed are the same over here. So followed by discussion. Opening of the discussion section should be OMR, then theme-wise results should be discussed. Then limitation and challenges, then future scope. So what my point is, I will just think on a one paragraph, writing a one paragraph within the given time to complete this limitation and challenges. If I have done some prior background prior work on the limitation and challenge, I will just dump that data. Otherwise, I will skip this data, skip this section. When I complete the draft, I will revisit this. We revisit this particular section. So likewise, future scope. Lastly, summary. Yes.
Sir, can you share your screen? So they are not, your template is not visible right now.
Oh, sorry. Just a minute. Sorry. So my template is visible.
No, sir.
Okay. So I will go back and I will show the same things. So what I was trying to say is I have created a navigation scheme. There is an introduction, methods, results, discussion, and summary. And under that summary, I have created these subheadings where I wanted to push my data. So this is the common standard title, author's affiliation, and author's list with all relevant details, followed by abstract. When I write abstract, I will only think on these particular lines. One line on background, one line on motivation, one line on objective, like that. So with that, I will complete my abstract when I start writing. Likewise, each and every section I will work. For example, in an introduction section, this particular statement is a paragraph around background of the paper. So if I have done the literature review, if I have read these articles, I will just copy and paste my group summaries over here so that there will be no inertia while writing the background. So I am just dumping the data over here. Likewise for motivation, likewise for literature review. So I have shown the template for the reading and compiling the essence. So from there, I will just dump the required details. So this is the same thing I will follow for method section. So each and every guideline and structure has been followed over here. Numerical methods, then followed by result section. This is followed by discussion section. So everywhere I am just thinking of dumping, not starting writing, editing, something like that. So first I will try to compile my relevant data, and based on that, if some section I do not have anything like limits and challenges right now, I need to think. I will not do anything. I will leave that section as it is. I will try to first populate all the relevant details. So summary and conclusions, then acknowledgement, conflict of interest, then references, then list of figures. So this is a template that I follow, which helped me to publish journal articles, 5 journal articles in 3 years. So this gave me productivity, and it was very useful for me for me it was accepting, means reviewers accepting my work was I feel some contribution goes to such a strategy to write a draft of the manuscript. So with that, I stop. If you have any question, let me know.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, Amol. Yes.
Yeah. Sir, my query is regarding the mathematical model. Actually, if the researcher is writing their paper according to analytical research, then formula is suppose derived formula. Then how to write the mathematical modeling?
So see,
Means suppose we
I understood
suppose
your
we are
question.
sorry sir.
Yeah, so what you are doing is you have pre-existing some background of the mathematical approach, probably empirical equations, or some equations are already published. They are available in the literature. What you are
Yes.
trying to do is you are adding some patch, you are adding some plugin, you are adding some novelty into those already published equations, right? So for such a work in the method section, I would means in the slide also I have mentioned, if you are modifying something which has been already published, you need to give sufficient details of the already existing method. So already published equation, you need to clearly state how they are coming, who has published, under what consequences, under what scenario they are valid. All these details you should give. Under that, after that, you should give an rationale why you are adding something new into it. What is your rationale? And then you put forth your modification into the article. That is the novelty part of your article. So you should give equal weightage to the already published work.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Actually, some journals are demanding for the mathematical model. In a script, they mention that the mathematical model should be there. But if I'm using the derived formula, then should I mention the formula came from which sources, or what should I mention in the mathematical model?
You should give sufficient credit to the already published, already derived work. You should give that credit to the work, and you should give some I would say section where this already published work has been there. And you should state, means what my point is, when that method section will be appealing is when you identify the loopholes in that, and that is why we are coming with some new approach, right? So you should highlight the novelty piece of your work. Then you should pose the modified approach that you have planned.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any other question for sir? Okay, then Professor Pawar sir will give vote of thanks.
Before that, I would like to thank Professor Digvijay Patil and the team at Nutan College for giving me an opportunity to talk on this topic and patiently listening my views on these topics. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks. I, Bhushan Pawar, on the behalf of Nutan College of Engineering and Research, extend my sincere thanks to our guest speaker, Dr. Sunil Sutar sir, who spared time from his busy schedule to grace the faculty development program. Today we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this will surely encourage us in all our future research work. Your deep and intellectual way of imparting knowledge about how to read an article and compile the essence from it and how to outline the first draft of manuscript added the glory of today's FDP session. Today we have got a lot of information which will truly help us in research work.